The story of witches. A lost broomstick. This story begins with a witch called Bless. An invitation to a party. Bless loved parties. There was just one problem. Bess couldn't remember where she put her broomstick. She looked everywhere. That was no good. The broomstick was lost. At last, Bess had to give up. Now, what could she do? She couldn't fly without her stick, and it was too far to walk. Then she had a great idea. My magic rope, she cried. I can turn someone into a horse and ride to a party. I just need to find someone. Bess hid behind the tree and waited. So a man came along with his wife, walking behind, carrying all his heavy bags. Bess let the man pass. He's no good, he's limping, she said. Besides, his wife will be strong from carrying all those bags. She jumped out and threw her rope over the woman. At once, the woman turned into a horse. Bess climbed onto a bag. I wish I brought a saddle. Now for the party, giddy up, she cried. The man kept limping at first. He didn't know what happened. But when he looked back, all he could see were bags and a horse galloping off in the distance. The man went to get the bags. He couldn't find his wife. Nobody had seen her. Crossly, the man picked up the heavy bags. I'll just have to carry these myself, he said. A long way away, Bess had stopped. The horse was worn out, and so were her shoes. At the next village, Bess took her to a blacksmith with 4 new horseshoes. The horse was ready to go. A party, the other witches pointed to the horse. Look, Bess, without a broomstick, said, and cackled at each other. Her Bess didn't mind. It was a wonderful party. The witch skipped around the cauldron singing songs. Before casting spells on each other just for fun, all too soon the party was over. The other witches flew off their broomsticks. Bessie left her horse and set out for her home. Grace was nearly home when she met the man that she had seen carrying before. He was still carrying the heavy bags. Hello, she said. Would you like to buy this horse? I don't need her anymore. I'll go ahead with the man. The man gave Bess a bag of gold and climbed the horse. With the horse to carry him, the man was home. Yeah, but what a fine beast he was. He took off the rope. And jumped back with a surprise. The horse had turned into a wife just like that. He was pleased to see that being a horse hadn't changed her too much. But there's one difference. That meant she couldn't carry the bags anymore. Which meant she couldn't carry the bags anymore. From then on, every time the husband went shopping, her husband had to do it. Kept asking her to turn back into her horse just to show him the secret. She never did. Dog spell. Early one morning, Farmer Crumb and his wife set off to work in the fields. They took her carry a picnic basket full of food. They worked hard all morning. Then Farmer Crumb looked up. Time for lunch, he said. Kate ran off into a barn where she had hidden the picnic basket. But before she reached the barn, Kate heard a strange sound. Zzz, it went zzz. She peeked inside. An old lady An old witch was lying in the hay, fast asleep, and she found the picnic basket. Kate was very angry. "How dare you!" she cried. The witch woke up with a jump. Kate chatted her some more. "How dare you speak to me like that?" snarled the witch. "I'll teach you a lesson." Before Kate could move, the witch had cast a spell. Maxie, Baxie, Joggly, Bee, Hog, get on the ground and bark like a dog. Poor Kate crawled back to her mother and father. "Wolf," she barked. She couldn't say anything else. "What happened?" cried her mother. Farmer Crumb chased after the witch. "Come back here. What have you done to my daughter?" The witch just laughed. "You can't catch me," she shouted, and she flew off on her broomstick. Farmer Crumb and his wife took Kate home. What can we do?" they asked their friends. Miss Crumb was very upset, but no one knew how to help. "We must go to Rimple," said Farmer Crumb. At last, Rimple was the old wizard who lived on the hill. "If anyone can help us, he can." She's done nothing but bark for 3 days. Kate had to crawl on his knees, crawl to his house. "Put hands and knees, please help," she begged her dad. Rimple frowned. "I can't break the spell," he said, "but I might be able to catch the witch for you." "Crystal, Abba, do well. Who cast the spell?" he cried. A witch face appeared in the book. "It's you. I might have known." Rimple fetched toadstools, nails, mustard powder, and red berries. Mixed them out and pounded them and then added a splash of ketchup. He heated the brew until it bubbled gently. "Perfect," he said, looking at his. But the witch wasn't scared of anyone, especially Rimple. As the brew began to bubble more fiercely, the wizard chanted a spell. At once, the cork flew out of a bottle and flames shot up the chimney. The smile of the witch's face, she began to look very worried indeed. She saw flames creeping up on her. She squealed and began to run. "Help," she squealed and began to run. The flames were too quick for her. "Ah, stop them, cried the witch. "Oh, stop them, cried the witch. "I'll break the spell, I promise." As soon as the witch made her promise, Kate jumped into her feet. She wasn't a dog anymore. Family never saw the witch again. But after that, Kate was always careful where she hid the picnic basket. Farmer Jones had a big brown cow. Every day he gave him 5 buckets of the creamiest milk in the village. In the same village, there lived a greedy witch. She didn't have a cow, but she did love the creamy milk. One day, she had an idea for a wicked spell. "From now on, the milk will all be mine," she cackled. Next morning, Farmer Jones took all the buckets and milk turned as usual. When I poured it in, got shocked. The milk just disappeared. Not a drop left. "Where is it gone?" Farmer Jones was furious. "Come down, dear," said his wife. "That won't bring the milk back. I'm sure we can find out what the problem was." And set off to the village to see what was going on. The witch was pumping water at the village pump. "That looks funny looking water, Mr. John." The witch filled her bucket. She walked off grinning. The naughty witch hadn't pumped water all cried Mrs. Jones all the way home. When she told her husband about the witch, he smiled. "I know what to do," he said. "I have a sneaky plan." Next time he wanted to milk his cow, he took a big box with him. He opened the box and tipped lots of white powder into. In the village, the witch was her basket with milk. She dipped her mug into a lovely milk, he cried, and took a big gulp. But the milk began to bubble and froth. The witch began to sputter and cough. Farmer Jones had added soap powder to it. Soon the witch was bubbling with bubbles. She had soapy hiccups for a week, and she never stole milk again. Stories of robots. A terrible Tidybot. "Luke, you're the laziest boy in the world," cried Miss Livy. His room was so untidy she could hardly get in. "Look at all these mess," chattered Luke's mother as she clambered over the piles of books, clothes, and toys. "I told you to. All you do all day is play on that beacon computer," said Miss Livy crossly. Luke wasn't listening. He had reached level 12 on Android Attack. He needed to concentrate. "You have 1 week to clean this room or the computer goes. I mean it." Luke heard that loud and clear. He couldn't possibly live without his computer, but cleaning his room would take forever. He spent the next 2 hours searching the internet for cleaning companies. They were all too expensive. Luke had almost given up. Hope when the advertisement popped out on the screen. The incredible Tidybot. It sweeps, it polishes, it shifts your junks. Free 14-day home trial. Send no money. "That's what I need. It can clean my room, then I'll send it back." Just under the week's house. Just now, a week later, the Tidybot arrived at Luke's house. He managed to sneak the box up to his room before his mother dashed past her way out. "I want that room clean by the time I come back," she shouted. The front door she slammed behind Luke. Just had 2 hours. This room had cleaned exactly 12 in the box. Wow. First he read the instruction booklet, then he aimed at the remote control. Tidybot was ready for action. Luke pressed the red button twice and the robot jumped live. Allowing you to put away your clothes, sir." In minutes, all Luke's pandas, shirts and socks were off the floor and he put away. Luke was impressed. He pressed the button after button. The robot whizzed around the room, obeying every command. In no time, the bedroom was clearer than it had ever been. Luke couldn't wait to see his mother's face when she returned. He took a step back to admire the Tidybot's work. As he did, he heard a loud cry. The remote controller was bent and broken. But Luke had one more important thing to worry. Breaking the controls of the unit made the Tidybot go crazy. It huddled around the room until it was messier than ever. Before Luke could stop it, the rampaging robot zoomed out of his bedroom and down the stairs. It went through every room in the house, leaving a messy trail behind. Finally, the robot battery went flat into the ground like a Hulk. Luke stared at what his mother said. Next, I was sweeping, mopping, and polishing. He repacked the robot and hid it in the shed. She was so tired that he went to for a shock. He slumped into his bed in despair. His mother had returned. Look at this. He didn't hear. This boy, well. Robot robbery. The hardest working robot on the building site. He had 10 different tools. He was always drilling and drilling. But Jay liked the end of each day best. Only then he could switch off and recharge his battery. One night, as Jay was recharging, someone broke in and carried him off. When Jay was fully charged, he awoke to find himself in a strange workshop. A wild-haired man was fiddling with Jay's control panel. "So are you quite, Jay?" "What do you want?" "The name's Finch," said the man. The rest you'll find out soon enough." "But I should be digging back at the site," cried Jay. "I have a much better job for you," said Finch. "I want you to dig for me into Bulden's bank. Every pound on you do ever want," snarled the crook. Later that day, Finch ordered Jay to follow him to the back. "No," said Jay. Finch pushed the button on a remote control. Jay followed. Metal make us start digging. But Jay refused to dig. Finch angrily flicked the two switches on his remote control. "I obey," said Jay, and began burrowing into the ground at top speed. She kept digging down, then crossing up. He burrowed along the soft field of the narrow tunnel behind him. As soon as Jay emerged in the bullet's back, Ted Finch watched Jay's progress on the tiny screen. He twisted and drew and Jay through the metal door. Finch was on the door left to go. The bank's goal minds. They saw Jay's saw buzzing into action, but sliced through the door and left his slope. Dry on feet. You could switch off his saw. "Stop, Finch," said Jay. "Say, Pop." Minutes later, Joey popped out of the tunnel and handed Finch 2 bags. "Run," he cried. "The guards saw me stealing the gold." Finch ran home as fast as he could, but he was in for a surprise. The greedy crook excitedly tiptoed out of the contents of the sack, only to find mud. Joe had filled the sacks with rubble from the tunnel. Finch spat out a dirt full of mud. That's the last time I trust a robot," he shouted. Robot races. Squeaky, the cleaning robot, hated his job. He was out in all weather, sweeping, cleaning the street. All he really wanted was to win a boot civil road race. The winning robot would get a new memory chip and a head to wheel polish. But Squeaky didn't dare to enter. He was so rusty and clunky. He wasn't even sure he could finish the race. So, noisy robot zoomed past. Biggest, meanest robot in town. Everyone was certain he would win the big race tomorrow. I think he wasn't talking about taking out recharge himself with each of his rivals in secret. gave Tina Bubble a turbo. He gave Tina Turbo a puncture. Stole Cyber Sid's memory chip. And did Andy's droid's battery pack. And rest Betty buys put in the alarm clock. The next morning, Tyler was sidelined. The judge was puzzled. Willing to race, cried the judge. Tanky Top was making him look stupid. First peeped up. I will. Everyone encounter. He said, Squeaky said someone amazing. You, what chance have you got? I'd still like to try. Squeaky joints were feeling especially stiff today. But he couldn't miss his chance. Very well, said the judge. With a sigh of relief. Robots, on your marks. Tanky Top hadn't bothered to charge up his battery that morning because he was confident he could still beat Squeaky. The robot self with it left down the town. We saw in Squeaky clattered off in his hot pursuit. As soon as he was out of the sight, the crowd Tank Top opened a flap in his back. Haha, these little nails will stop and rub out to Roboboy. So the spiky trap, it was too late. Luckily, Squeaky was so old that his wheels were made out of solid rubber. He didn't burst. He was still in the race. Not sure that cheat. He burst on speed and he caught up with Tanky Top. Let's see, get out of this, boomed Tanky Top as he opened another compartment. Squeaky shut his eyes and hoped for the best. He slid and slid down the road. Squeaky left battered and dented. It was still in one piece. He tried to get up. His joints were too stiff. He said this. Squeaky realizing the air was all around him. Unwinding his horse, he gulped every last drop of oil. Soon Squeaky was back in his rival's trail. Tanky Top was running off with power fast, but Tanky Top still had one track. His telescopic arms. He reached out to Squeaky's front wheel and undid the screw. Sparks flew through the air as Squeaky's wheel bounced off Tanky Top under the cheek. As the crowd came back to view, Tanky Top used the last of his power to soar across the finish line. Tanky Top was already boasting of a crowd as poor old Squeaky was carried across the line. Congratulations, Squeaky by hand. Cried the judge. Congratulations, cried Drag as he shook Squeaky by the hand. Well, I suppose that almost won, Squeaky sniffed slightly. Not almost, said the judge. You did win. Look, he showed Squeaky the Tanky Top photograph had taken a finish line. The wheel crossed the line a second before Tanky Top. That makes you the winner. Squeaky clung to the light. Crowd cheers as Tanky Top blew a fuse. Book. "12 Dancing Princesses." Family trouble. There were once 12 beautiful princesses with all long hair and short, fiery tempers. Father King was a grumpy old man who didn't believe in having fun. In fact, he believed that princesses should be seen and not heard. The princesses strongly disagreed. They argued about Horace was dancing. The father hated it, but the princesses loved it. So when he wasn't looking, they danced anyways. The sisters' secret. The girls slept in a tall tower with their beds by side to side. Every night the king locked the tower door so they couldn't sneak out. One morning, the door was unlocked. The princesses were still asleep. Then she noticed their shoes were lying on a soggy pile on the floor. The shoes were worn out. When the king heard about their shoes, he was furious. Those girls had been out dancing, he sputtered. Princesses should not be dancing all night here. You will really sleep. You should all be ashamed of yourself. The girls weren't ashamed in the least. What's more, they couldn't tell him how they escaped or where they had been. Next morning, it was being clear that the princesses had out the same thing had happened in 7 nights in a row. The king didn't know what to do, but he had a brilliant idea. He decided that the first man to discover where his daughters went each night could marry one of them. Buses went up across the land. Taking the challenge, the first man to take up the challenge was brave Prince Marsus. By the way, there's one small catch to Falcon here. That Prince Marcus was taken to the tower and put in a room next to a princess. They made him very welcome. One even brought him a cup of hot milky cola. As Marcus drank the cocoa, he began to feel sleepy. He tried to flush his face, but that didn't work. Soon he was fast asleep and snoring loudly. Next morning, the princess's shoes were worn out again. Prince Marcus fell, and the king wasn't joking about chopping off his head. No more princesses and noble knights came forward, but they were all fooled by the princess's sweet smiles. And they offered hot cocoa. Raff and Rascal. One day, the magician named Raff and his pet dog Rascal were passing the castle. Raff noticed one of the king's puzzles and decided to find out more. So Raff, the king, looked up, but was desperate to know what the girls were up to, so he agreed to let Raff try. That night, Raff was put in the same room where the others had stayed. You know, I am Amy, said the youngest. He's nice, she whispered to her sisters. I don't want him to die because of us. Maybe we shouldn't go out this night. The sisters ignored her. A few minutes later, Annabelle, the other sister, brought Raff a cup of cocoa, but Raff was a wise magician. He knew what she was up to. He pretended to drink the cocoa. When Annabelle wasn't looking, he put it into Rascal's bowl. Rascal was delighted. And with an even bigger yawn, he pretended to fall down fast asleep. Annabelle crept up to his sisters. He was asleep, she whispered. Let's get ready. They put on the sparkliest ball dresses, and the shoes in the princess's shimmered like a rainbow. But with the last button button at the last bow tied. The girls stood by the bed, and all pulling back a dusty old rug in the corner to reveal a secret trapdoor. He just creaked open as she pulled it open. One by one, the girls disappeared down the stairs in a long dark tunnel. Rap on the trail. When the princes were out of sight, Rap quickly entered their room. He clicked his fingers. The clock appeared with a second click. Rap vanished. He carefully tiptoed down the tunnel. It didn't take long for him to catch up with the princesses. Ralph tried to walk quietly. It wasn't as easy because at one point he stepped on Amy's dress. She jumped and turned around. There was no one there. A few minutes, Ralph stepped on a tree. Now Amy was convinced that someone was following them. Her sisters didn't believe her. At the end of the tunnel, they came to a solemn rows of trees. Some trees even glistened with silver, some with gold and some with sparkling diamonds. Ralph had never seen trees like them. While the princess carried on, he gently broke off a twig of each tree. Up ahead, the princess had stopped before, like it stood in the shadow of a beautiful castle. Each princess rode across the lake. Ralph sneaked in the boat, carrying Amy. When they reached the other side, the band began to play. Princesses danced until their feet were sore and the soles of their shoes were worn through. As the sun rose, they limped home. Our nights of dancing were still safe, unlike poor Ralph hurt the animal. Yawning, Amy looked upset. The king was having breakfast when strolled in. Good morning, Your Majesty, said Ralph brightly. I suppose you have come to tell me you failed to, said the king. But I didn't, sire, Ralph replied. Waving the twigs, he told the king what he had seen. The mystery is solved. This sounds very unlikely, grumbled the king. Are you sure you're not just... Are you sure... This sounds very unlikely, grumbled the king, when Ralph had finished. Are you sure you're not just making it up to save your head? Here's Hyacinth called Annabelle. When she saw 3 twigs in his hand, she looked horrified. One look of her face and told the king all he needed to know. Dancing is banned, he declared. The princesses stopped and waited. They heard the secret had been discovered. What will we do? They cried. Life is so dull without dancing. But there was nothing they could do. His true words, the king let marry one of his daughters. I like Amy. If she had me, that's the sweetest of all. Amy and Ralph's wedding was a joyful occasion. Even the king couldn't stop smiling. He whispered to Amy. King let her ballroom and danced. Hundreds of candles lit up the dance floor, leaving tree into special occasion dance for only one night, said the king. Oh, how wonderful, cried Amy and her sister, grabbing partners still dancing for the following night. I thought they all said one king only, but he smiled. I've had worked on some more of his magic. The end.